So yeah, Notre Dame, their over under is set at 9.5 wins. Marcus Freeman, obviously the big story there, his first season, 11-2 a year ago, with the New Year's Six Bowl loss to Oklahoma State. Blew a
Mhm.
28-7 lead in Freeman's first game as a head coach. Um, we've talked a lot about Notre Dame. Most of it has been more big picture stuff, recruiting stuff. But what are your thoughts for Notre Dame this year specifically?
Just yeah, how Freeman is as an on-field coach, as a game day coach, how that staff works together. Um, I would maybe have preferred him to bring in a different offensive coordinator.
Okay.
Is that bad of me to say? I guess, but I will overall. He's had an extremely positive first 6 months on the job. However, yeah, he's been on the job a little over 6 months, right? He's
Yeah.
had an extraordinary. I mean, it's almost nothing but positive for him to this point. So yeah, I mean the feelings have to be really good. Everyone has to. If you felt good about him 6 months ago, you love it now. And if you
Yeah.
were on the fence, kind of like I was on the fence 6 months ago. And
Hmm.
like I'm being won over. Like I am being won over. He's doing what's important. The game day aspect is something that we'll need to see. He's a young guy, never been a head coach before. This is his first job as a head coach. How does that go? Like, and then he gets no favors. He gets to jump in week one at the horseshoe. Like, that's kind
Yeah.
of a rough start. Maybe the best offensive team in the nation. He's going to go up against the buzzsaw, but like, that's good though. Like, it only gets easier from there. And I honestly, I'm feeling like fairly positive that you said the number's 9.5 for Notre
Yeah.
Dame. I can get it on FanDuel right now for 8.5.
Are
So
you
like,
serious?
yeah, I can get it for 8.5 on FanDuel like currently. So that's where I would be taking it. I'd be taking the over. Feel fairly confident, even with that. Say you lose to Ohio State. Like I think that game's gonna be really really close. I do, but let's just say you lose. I mean, you do have to play Clemson late in the year, but almost all the rest of the games you're gonna be favored in. So yeah, like again, fairly confident, at least at 8.5, that you can go over. You said you have it at 9.5. Is that right?
Yeah, and I was leaning over on that. I think 10-2 is the record.
No, yeah, that's me. I'm right there with you. I think kind of the same place they were last year a little bit. A lot of it depends on how Buckner develops
Sure.
the quarterback. I mean, quarterback play is huge. Like
Hmm.
that's what's really going to define their season, I think. But yeah, again, talent. He has talent there, but he has a lot more coming. And I think this is just the start. And you can forgive him too, by the way. If he has a bad year, it's not. Remember what Saban did his first year at Alabama? They lost to Louisiana Monroe.
Yeah.
Kirby lost to Vanderbilt. We in his first year there. I think Georgia was 8-4 that year. 8-4, 7-5. It wasn't a great year. And like, yeah, since then, I mean, boom, both of those guys are just slam dunks. So I think he'll have a better start than that. I really do. For me, if he goes 8-4, that's kind of their floor. Like that's
Yeah.
almost disaster. And even that's not that bad, for year one. So yeah, 10-2, that's where I'd have him going. I'd be taking the over there and feeling confident.
Yeah. Just kind of looking at the roster. Buckner is the guy at quarterback, officially in a competition with Drew Pine. Maybe a little Steve Angeli sprinkled in there, but it's we all know it's going to be Buckner. If
Right.
he's healthy, like I don't see them doing worse than 9-3, but 8-4 I suppose is the floor. Like maybe he's dinged up a few games or whatever. I could see that scenario happening. But to me, this is a 10-2 team, and just continue going through the roster. Like the running back room is really good. They did lose Kyron Williams to the NFL,
Yeah.
but they have four other running backs they feel really good about, and they actually have two true freshmen coming in that they feel pretty good about. One of them flipped from Indiana. He was one of their highest ranked commits in Indiana history, and flipped over to Notre Dame along with Dylan McCullough, who was his position coach there. Um, the major question mark I would say on the team, at least on the offense, is receiver. I think they actually have pretty solid talent at the top. Lorenzo Styles, I think, is going to be the number one guy. Braden Lenzy, Avery Davis. There's some solid names there, but they're very much relying on some younger guys to provide quality depth because there's not a lot of other depth. They continue to strike out in the portal. Um, Most portal guys don't want to come and be your depth. That's kind of what seems to be the reality there. Um, so yeah, they might have 6 or 7 guys that they can sort of rely on at receiver. That's about it. And they're 3 injuries away from it really being a huge issue. The tight end room is extremely stocked. Michael Mayer is obviously the number one guy there, probably a first round pick next year. They have other guys that they feel really good about. The one name I would point out to watch is Eli Raridan, who will be a true freshman this year. He wasn't an early enrollee. He's coming this summer, and he feels like he's kind of the next guy. He's the next Mayer. There's some other guys that are older than him that are really good, but he's the guy with the, I don't know, 2 feet long hands. Not really, but like just massive hands, massive athletic upside, basketball player in high school, all of that. Offensive line. So I just got my copy of Lindy's for the summer magazine, and they ranked Notre Dame as the number 1 offensive line of the country. I don't know if I'd quite go that far. I do feel really good. Like they had 2 true freshmen who played last year, Blake Fisher and Joe Alt at the tackle positions, and most people that were paying attention think that they will be first round picks in 2 years. So really good players there. Maybe the best center in the country with Jarrett Patterson, who might actually move to guard just because it gives him the best 5-man combination. I think they will be vastly improved over a year ago with some experience from some of those younger players and the new offensive line coach, Harry Heastand, who was a huge add. The defensive line is probably in my opinion, that would probably be my number 1 unit on the team. Isaiah Foskey is the big name there, defensive end, and Jason Adamalola, defensive tackle, and then just a whole bunch of other guys. Riley Mills is the guy I would look out for to have some big numbers. The linebackers are very solid. I would say Maris Leafau is a potential huge playmaker. Just a solid group overall. Defensive back, they have a really good corner in Cam Hart and obviously Brandon Joseph at safety. And then some other guys that are unproven. But there's lots of numbers there, young talent. We'll see how it goes. The special teams are a bit of a question mark. But yeah, that's your Notre Dame overview. That's maybe more than most of you were wanting or whatever. But that's kind of the team for this year. We've talked a lot about them, big picture, but that's the 2022 Notre Dame team. The schedule you mentioned, they open at Ohio State. They have Marshall, who's actually solid for a G5 team. Sneaky good, yeah. Cal, who's actually sneaky bad.
Yeah.
At North Carolina, excuse me. Yeah, tricky game there. They play BYU in Vegas, Stanford, UNLV, Syracuse, road game, Clemson at home, Navy, Boston College, and then at USC. So it's actually a pretty tough schedule at the top. But I feel like once you get past about the top 5 teams, like I feel really good about all the rest of the games. So yeah, 8-4 to me feels like the floor, but 10-2 feels more likely.
And just saying, like, I think that the week 1 game against Ohio State at Ohio State is going to be close. I really do. Yeah. Like that could have, like, remember when Ohio State played Oregon like week 2 last year? Mm-hmm. And like we kind of like, we thought the matchup was good for Oregon. We did. And it turned out it was, right? Like that was like, they just had a ton of success there, offense and defense.
Yeah.
Like, I think Notre Dame sneaky matches up good with Ohio State. I know like that may not be what people say. I think ball control is like kind of their kryptonite right now. I'm not saying that they can't revamp and retool. Ohio State has a new defensive coordinator. I'm saying they can't have that all fixed week 1. I think Notre Dame can get that. And if they do, just say they beat Ohio State, then like, I mean, your whole perspective changes then. Suddenly anything's possible. You're a playoff team until, proven otherwise pretty much. So yeah, like I'm with you. 9.5, I would be maybe a little bit more hesitant, still probably going over. At 8.5. It's a slam dunk. And like, I think we both agree.
Yeah, for sure.